Hello and a warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in our headlines, consumers of liquefied petroleum gas should expect a 20% decrease in prices as more oil marketing firms adjust prices of petroleum products at the pumps. We'll hear from the Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi.
We are expecting price to go down by about 20%. We expect that the
20%, you say?
Yeah, 20%, yes.
And as prices of petroleum products reduce, we will be engaging the National Petroleum Authority to find out what the authority is doing to ensure that all oil marketing companies adjust the price accordingly. Also, financial analyst Dr. Benjamin Amwa has referred to the current stability of the cedi as artificial. This follows a prediction by Fitch Solutions of a stronger cedi ahead of 2023.
Now done based on strong economy that one will have wished we will have to sustain the cedi strength against the dollar for much longer periods than what we forecast to be.
These and many others coming your way shortly. Please stay. And those were your commodities updates. Grateful you could stay on. I am Pious Kojo Backah. Let's now look at our stories. More oil marketing firms are reducing prices of some petroleum products at the pumps from this morning. Now, the latest to review their prices at the pumps are Shell and Total Energies. Now, there is more in the following reports.
The two firms have dropped the price of petrol by 2 Ghana cedis and is selling today at 13 Ghana cedis, 40 pesos per litre. However, when it comes to diesel, Total Energies has gone down by 3 cedis and is selling at 15 Ghana cedis, 85 pesos. Shell is going for 16 Ghana cedis, 49 pesos per litre. The reduction can be linked to improved supply of dollars by the Bank of Ghana, stabilized Ghana cedi, a reduction in prices of finished petroleum products on the international market. However, some market analysts have described the reduction as inadequate, looking at all the factors that influence the price of petroleum products on the market today.
Now let's get on to Zoom and speak to Mohammed Abdul Kudus, who is the communications manager for the National Petroleum Authority. Abdul, grateful you could join us on Business Live. Now, what is causing this swift review in prices of petroleum products at the pumps by players, you would say? Kindly unmute for me if you may. All right, so we shall connect to Abdul Kudus pretty soon as we make efforts to get him on. Let's move on to some other stories. And Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana, Gabriel Kumi, says price of liquefied petroleum gas will go down by 20% from today. According to him, a kilo of LPG, is expected to reduce from 15 cedis to 50 pesos to 12 cedis 50 pesos beginning today. Now, this follows the recent reduction of petroleum prices and the stability of the cedi.
Beginning today, we are expecting price to go down by about 20%. We expect that the
20%, you say?
Yeah, 20%, yes.
Okay.
Yes. The previous window, we were selling a kilo for about 15 cedis, 50 pesos. Beginning today, we are expecting to sell a kilo for about 12 cedis, 50 pesos. Then that will be a drop of about 3 Ghana cedis, and that represents about 20% of the previous window price.
And this is based on the cedi's stability against the dollar, as we've seen in the past 2 weeks. If the cedi continues to be stable, what would it mean for your business?
Obviously, this is good news for not only for consumers, but for we as businessmen who operate in the space. And in the long run, it's good for Mother Ghana. You know, as an association, we've been pushing for prices of LPG to go down. Basically, the cedi stability is the largest contributor to this decline that we are seeing. If you look at the international markets, the price of the finished product continues to go down. Price of crude oil also continues to go down. At West, it's been very stable over the past few months. But what was really driving up the price was the instability of the cedi, was the depreciation of the cedi. But now that we see that the cedi gains some ground, the cedi pitching its own against the dollar, we are likely to see a very consistent improvement in the price of LPG in terms of low prices.
Now, research institute Fitch Solutions is predicting a stronger cedi against the major foreign currencies come next year. In its latest analysis of Ghana's 2023 economic outlook, Fitch Solutions said the likely program from the International Monetary Fund signals to investors that the government is committed to fiscal consolidation that will turn around the country's economic predicament. Mark Kurunga is a senior country risk analyst at Fitch Solutions based in London.
An IMF deal will signal to investors that the government is committed to fiscal consolidation and turning around the country's economic predicament, which will gradually restore investor sentiment and allow the cedi to stabilize. At the same time, we believe that with inflation in the U.S. Decelerating now, the U.S. Federal Reserve will refrain from hiking its benchmark policy rate further in 2023, which will allow the dollar to come down from the heights seen in 2022. So providing some support to the cedi and emerging market exchange rates in general. In addition, if we look into the history of the cedi, we see that periods of significant exchange rate weakness all lasted roughly 12 months. And given that we're currently in month 11, history would suggest that the worst is behind us.
Meanwhile, Executive Director of the Center for Economics, Finance and Inequality Studies, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, says the current stability of the local currency is artificial. According to him, the fundamentals of the economy are weak, hence the marginal stability gained by the cedi will be tested once the IMF program is fully implemented.
Need the fundamentals to support the stability. So the question is, after the market fits in the IMF program going into next year, next quarter, after the market responds to all of these, what we call good news, what happens then? By that time, the rates will have been fixed to reflect the policy in terms of debt restructuring, in terms of our external debt restructuring program. So you realize that at that point in time, there's no good news again. So what we'll do, we'll follow the fundamentals. And so if the fundamentals still at that time is not good, then definitely we'll see the cedi becoming weak again. So it is more artificial now than based on strong economy that one will have wished we will have to sustain the cedi strength against the dollar for much longer periods than what we forecast to be.
All right, so let's get on phone and speak to Abdul Kudus, who is the communications manager for the National Petroleum Authority on the back of the recent price adjustments we are seeing at the pumps. Now, Abdul, earlier I was asking that what is causing this swift review in prices of petroleum products at the pumps, you would say?
Yes, good evening. Thank you for having me. I think two things practically have actually influenced what we are seeing. One has to do with the strength of the cedi against the dollar, and then the FOB price of the product on the international market. So these two things combined are what is are giving us the effect of the reduction we are seeing at the pumps.
All right, so to what extent has the price deregulation policy contributed to this development?
I believe this has actually diffused that notion that price never come down when product prices actually go down or the cedi appreciates against the dollar. Repeatedly, we've actually tried to explain to the consuming public that these two factors determine the fall or rise of the price at the pump. And I believe that for any doubting Thomas, what is happening at the pump currently should diffuse that notion that prices never come down, even when on the international market the prices are coming down. This is evidence to the fact that the price regulation indeed is working. As and when the prices are supposed to go up, they will, and as and when they're supposed to come down, they will do so.
All right, so what is your authority doing to ensure that all the various oil marketing companies adjust the price accordingly when prices are supposed to go down?
So obviously, as envisaged by the regulation that is controlling the pricing regime, we're supposed to virtually play a certain policing responsibility to the OMCs. That is to say that whatever factors that contributes in the haulage and transportation of the product, we are aware of that. And the various factors are actually put in a certain mathematical formula that tells us how much they should be be selling. So when that determination is done, they would post with us a certain indicative prices of what is expected to be at the pump. So what it then means is that after that agreement, those indicative prices would then be the range within which the OMC is supposed to sell at the pump. They are not supposed to go and sell beyond what has actually been posted with us at the National Petroleum Authority. And as an authority, we have regularly kept the tap on monitoring to ensure that what is posted with us is what is actually on the ground, and the consumer is not shortchanged and sold much higher than what it's supposed to be. So we're keeping the tap on them and ensuring that consumers actually get what is supposed to be per the indicators.
And what becomes the punitive measure if some oil marketing companies refuse to adjust their price?
Obviously, it depends on the degree of the incident and the determination by the disciplinary committee that normally gets these matters referred to it. So on top of my head, I will not be able to speak until a specific thing is actually brought to my attention. And so, like I said, when it is determined that something has actually been flouted by an OMC or the other, that case would have to be reported to appropriate disciplinary committee of the board that would look into it and then advise an appropriate sanction that is supposed to be given to it. But we've not had a certain history of where there is a posting with us of the indicative prices and they go to the field and do a different thing at all. Probably because they know that our monitoring mechanism is 24/7 on them, and we are ensuring that whatever that is agreed upon as supposed to be the price within a particular window, they actually go by it. They can't review that beyond what has been agreed without recourse to the National Petroleum Authority.
On the back of that, the National Petroleum Authority or the Liquefied Petroleum Gas, Association indicated that we are likely to see some reduction in relation to liquefied petroleum gas. Has that also come to your attention? Have you noticed anything of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, because the two critical components of the pricing, price build-up, I've seen a certain changes. One, the FOB prices have gone down. Two, the CD has actually appreciated against the dollar. These are critical components in the price build-up that at any point in time tells the direction of the price adjustment to this particular product. So given that the FOB prices have come down, the CD appreciated, we at MPA actually did our own calculation and expected a certain reduction. And hearing what you're telling me, I'm sure we've not actually been disappointed at all.
And still on the LPG, recently your CEO talked about the fact that we are likely to see some proposal, make some proposals to cabinet to review some of the taxes on liquefied petroleum gas. What is the status on that? And could that be as a reason why we're saying the reduction in relation to LPG?
Obviously, this current reduction has nothing to do with that. But what you just referred to and the pronouncement of my CEO at the lunch you referred to is work in progress. We are not at the end of the road yet. When we get to the end of the road, whatever that is before my table, I certainly will be communicating through you to the general public. But for now, it is work in progress. We're trying to get the paper through the ministry to cabinet. And as and when finality is gotten on that, I would be directed as to what to tell the public. But I can tell you that has nothing to do with the expected adjustment that we are going to see downward on the prices of LPG on at the market. It is basically of the strength of the CD and the cost of the product going down on the international market.
So are we likely to see a further decrease in the price of LPG?
So just like we witnessed sometime in October, where we saw OMCs actually adjusting their prices more than once within the same pricing window, the current behavior of the CD to the dollar would actually get us to witness that, because as it were, and as we've said it repeatedly, the strength of the CD plays a critical role in the pricing of the product that we buy at the pump. And with the trajectory that we have seen the last 1 week, if that continues into next week, it is possible that some OMCs would want to review accordingly, just so they would remain competitive, because it is a competitive market out there. If you do not revise to meet the changing trends, and your competitor actually does that, you might be losing a customer. So if the trajectory continues, there might be a likelihood of that having to see a review again. And like I said, they normally would post with us the indicative prices. They are not supposed to go above their indicative prices, but they are allowed to go below what they have actually posted once it falls within the range that they've posted with us. So if the trajectory continues, I think that you and I, as consumers, would be smiling to the pump and be able to buy the needed fuel that we need for our activities.
Certainly, such great news for consumers as we head towards the Christmas festivities. Thank you very much, Mohammed Abdul Kudus, who is the communications manager of the National Petroleum Authority. Now, members of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, have started what they describe as gradual reduction in prices of goods on the market. That's according to President of the association, Dr. Joseph Obeng. This, it says, is in response to the sustained stability of the cedi against the dollar over the past 2 weeks. Dr. Obeng, who disclosed this on PM Express Business Edition, however, maintained that consumers should be measured in their expectations.
Prices will be varying from place to place from now, because others might have bought at the many of us have bought at the higher prices, and others also might have just started buying, and they have the advantage. And the market is not going to wait for you to reduce your price. When you get the advantage, you just reduce the price. So it's going to be varying. That's why we have advised our members to strike reasonable averages. If you bought some of the dollar at a higher price or medium price or lower price, then you strike the reasonable average so that you can stay afloat. Because now what you have to do as a trader is to be able to reduce your prices small so that you can get money to rush and come and enjoy what is happening now.
It is not specific timelines, but when should we be looking for some next year?
No, it has started showing.
As your members started
it has started showing.
Really? Because if we go to the market,
the competition in the market is such
your
that
members have started dropping prices.
The market forces is going to determine the price. And so,
but have they started doing that as we speak right
now? Even before I brought my press statement, it has started showing.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, because it's a competition in the market, and it's not. I'm telling you, but our expectation for this reduction should be measured.
Why?
Yes, it should be measured because most of us have bought the forest at a higher price, and you don't expect that
a gradual thing, and it's taking place.
Some of them, the goods have not come, and so please, the consuming public, we have shown good faith by even telling our members to come down with their price.
You're still watching Business Life with me, Pious Kojo Backah, here on the Joy News channel. We're taking a short break. When we return, we've got more for you. Please stay. Hello again, welcome back. This is still Business Live here on the Joy News channel with me, Pious Kojo Backah. And we continue with the rest of our stories. An economist at the World Bank, Kojo Backah, has called on government to introduce policies which will encourage recycling of plastics. According to him, introducing tax incentives for companies which use recycled plastics will encourage the usage of recycled plastics. He has been speaking at the Probe workshop in Accra.
ProBlue, a multi-donor trust fund administered by the World Bank to support the sustainable development of marine and coastal resources as well as eradicate plastic waste, has held a workshop to develop a policy framework to shape Ghana's circular economy. Speaking at a workshop, economist at the World Bank, Kojo Backah, urged the government to consider tax incentives which will encourage the usage of recycled plastics.
Who is going to produce these recycled plastic pellets for me? Because I want to use them in producing my bottles because they are cheaper to my consumers. And the difference is the tax. So for instance, in Ghana at the moment, you have entrepreneurs who are searching the waste stream and recovering some of the plastic materials. But for instance, this clear plastics that is used for the drinking, for the bottle bottles. This is not the recycled in Ghana for the purpose of the domestic producers and consumers. Ghanaian producers don't see the incentives to use the recycled content of the PET bottles, even if this is actually one of the most easy plastic material to recycle.
On the need to develop a tailored framework which will suit Ghana's culture and socio-economic landscape, advisor to the Minister of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Oliver Boakye, reiterated government efforts to design an appropriate scheme where producers are given a significant responsibility.
The World Bank is helping us to design an appropriate EPR scheme. And I say appropriate in the sense that our markets are not the same as what exists in Europe and North America and others. Here, the informal sector, for example, accounts for a very huge percentage of the actors within the value chain. Our EPR scheme should be able to cover that.
The workshop was held to develop a framework which will promote an economic system based on the reuse of materials or products as a means to ensure a sustainable environment.
And that's it for Business Live for tonight. I am Pious Kojo Backah. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.